Why find love for looking for love in that capacity?
Yeah.
Go into a bar? No, too easy. Swiping? Too easy. Swiping? I don't want to get carpal tunnel with my wrist. I can't do this all. Cameras, document everything, invading my privacy. Sounds like a lovely day at the office. Is that what goes on in your mind, or how does that happen?
When I've ever watched reality TV, or even my own buddies that were on the show with me, like, what brought you here? And
yeah,
mine was, it's not a crazy story by any means in the beginning, but how things took off really changed like life for me.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get to it, man. What's working and what's not working with your hair?
What I've realized with my hair is it kind of grows in like at different rates all over my head. So I guess I was told I have a lot of cowlicks, I guess.
Why were you raised around a cow that likes to lick your head?
I have no idea.
I don't even, you know why they call it a cowlick, right?
Because like a cow licked it and then it just stayed that way.
So when cows clean, they or lick them their fur or whatever, or their young, it's in a circle, and so the cow lick is literally the remnants of a cow licking fur. I looked it up one time. I got bored. I had a client go, "Why do they call it a cow lick?" And I was like, "I don't know." And they're like, "You're the hairdresser. You should know this." I was like, "Thank you, Wikipedia."
We have some cowlicks. My hair grows extremely fast.
That's good.
My fiance says it's always covering the ears. Ideally, like I love this style where I can like natural gel it up to the side and back.
Yeah.
But like clean on the sides and the back in particular.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing, back of my neck, like see the corners. Like,
yeah.
I guess they like wire out.
Yeah. And well, it's like an N.
Yeah.
Do you like the back of your neck to be straight across? Or do you like it to naturally blend in with your neck? So you still have that up and down shape versus it's coming straight across.
So I've tried them all, and I found the best was like almost kind of tapering or fading up because it grows like that. If I did it like a line, it just looks kind of awkward.
It looks awful.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it for everyone.
That was like in my sports clips days. They would just say,
You said it, not me. I'm not shaming salon.
No. Not really good sports clips.
So you like to keep the size short. Do you like to see skin?
No, I don't like to see skin. I normally do like a 2.5.
Okay.
Or 3. So I like to have length there. I've never liked having like a skin on the back and the sides.
And you said it too, so you always get clippers.
So they do like a 2.5 or on the sides of the back. Oh yeah, clippers. And then up here, so I always just say like this much, enough where it looks like clean and I actually got a haircut.
Okay. Do you like a haircut right when you get your hair done that day, or do you like it a few days, like a week out?
I don't think I've ever liked my haircut the day of.
Interesting.
It's a strange thing. I've never been like fully, like I love it. I always am like, okay, in 2 days, I think I'll be happy with it.
Why?
It's always like, when I get a haircut, it looks like too clunky. Like I like a natural look, but still clean on the sides. And when I get it done out of a haircut, this seems like too short and this is short. And I look like I've got like a Lego head and I hate that. But then 2 days, this gets a little bit more natural. And then when I gel it myself, it's more of my look, my eyes, I guess.
So you like that it looks more lived in as time goes on?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then at that period of time is so short because my hair grows so long. And then I start having this like sideburns. And
so it looks, I was looking at the screen because you turned this way and I was like, I wanted to see how it looked in the camera. So the ideal haircut, to me, what it sounds like is if you could get that few days vibe out, but the length of the first day.
Yes.
So first day length, so it's short and it's clean the way you like it.
Yep.
But it has that lived-in vibe that you can get like few days after.
Right, exactly. Like, I feel like, I definitely look like I just got a haircut, and some people love that feeling.
Yeah.
But I'm more like that feeling has like a negative connotation because it looks not like the ideal way.
What you're talking about, I have had that conversation for almost 20 years.
Okay.
And I would have guys that would come in specifically because they said that it's the first time they would go back into the office or something, and no one knew they got a haircut. And that was like how they knew was the right haircut.
Yes.
I will say, going with the clippers of a 2.5 or a 2, just the way the machine works, you have 2 blades, 1 blade really, really fast, right? Cutting it and at lightning speed, you're going to get that military surgical precision feeling, which is what you're seeing. And after a couple of days, it starts to relax.
Yep, exactly.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use scissors.
Oh, okay.
So we can get it short, we can show scalp, we can not show scalp, but it's going to give you more of that lived-in vibe.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. And as it grows out, because you're already starting with a more blended, softer edges, you may find that you could go, even though your hair may be longer, like if you were in a pinch and couldn't go and get your hair cut, like, oh, I have to be somewhere. You would just be able to clean up around your ears and everything else will look great.
Yeah.
Because the scissor grow is a lot more graceful than the clipper grow.
Okay. Interesting.
It's just how the pieces work. Like one is more precise of getting a harder edge, and the other one's not.
See, like I went through so many different, I guess, hairstyles, I thought, on the show, because they wanted to keep like it being, what's the right word for it? Like singular, that it didn't look like drastic from week to week on the show, like every rose ceremony. But there were a few occasions where it was botched. Producers were cursing everything. They're like, oh, got his hair.
All right. Well, this will be fun.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So we met through your friend, Justin.
This
JD. And turns out you and I are from the same area.
Absolutely.
Anaheim. Not even Austin. Like, so I know how I went from Orange County to Austin.
Yeah.
But how did you go from Anaheim to Austin?
Completely random in a sense. I, grew up in Anaheim. I went to college at Cal Poly.
Yeah.
So Central California. Slow, exactly. And I was, post-college football, trying to find a job, trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Had no idea. And I thought, okay, like sales could be cool. And then it just applied to numerous companies, just got turned down. And then finally a company, Oracle, headquartered out here, offered me a job, and they said, you can either work in Santa Monica or you can work in Austin. And I figured to myself, I've been in California my whole life, just kind of, a kid, living a kid life, just going to college, having fun. Like I want to be an adult and start something fresh. So I moved out to Austin, not knowing a single person, and fell in love with it.
I think moving somewhere where you don't know anybody for a lot of people is an intimidating thing to get over.
Yeah.
And you can focus on all the negatives of that, but it doesn't seem like that's your mentality. My mentality is you move to an area and nobody knows you. It's a chance to reinvent yourself.
Exactly.
It's a chance to be the person you may have held back because your friends or your family's like, Zach, what's up with the nose ring? Why'd you get the tattoo?
Right.
But out when nobody knows you, you're just like, I'm going to do these things that I want to do because you're not going to hear the feedback.
In a sense, you get a new lease on life. Like you get to try things different. Like if you never were satisfied, and I'm not saying like I was dissatisfied with my life in California by any means, but I was hitting that point where, I'm young, I'm 23, and I want something different, and I've got to make a name for myself. So Austin was the first step for that.
And making a name for yourself where you don't know anybody just proves that you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
Like without the network that's built in around you.
There's always going to be a little bit of that fear, like when you go somewhere new, because you don't know how it's going to work out. But I think it's your perspective of like having a positive outlook that it'll work out regardless of what happens is the make or break it on it. Because people just like won't even take the leap, or they look at the negatives, but like positives can just blow you away. So
I sort of think that life's an adventure.
Yeah, no, we did.
It's like life's an adventure, write your own story, go on your own journey.
Yeah.
And the worst thing I could think of would be sitting, 75 years old living with a list of what ifs.
I know.
That to me is like a living a life of regret, you know? Like you do it, like, what was the thing happened? It doesn't work out. Move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally. You were on a show that I've never watched, which I think is hysterical, because I'm imagining perhaps some people who've been in your particular seat would the ego side, like, what do you mean you've never watched me on TV? And I want to know what it's like to like, how do you get into that situation? And what's the mentality that goes into that? Because look, cutting hair, you get to talk to a lot of people and you discuss what you're watching on TV. I'm a little behind the times. I just finally watched Sopranos this year.
I've watched it.
Okay, it's really good.
I heard it's slow.
It moves. I think it moves at a really good pace. I think society today is so used to these high-paced, high adrenaline and like endorphin-inducing shows that we've lost the art of enjoying a great story being told at a pace that the story unfolds and you're able to understand everything. It's like if you watch, like, you know, I'm trying to think of like a new mom movie, like one of the Guy Ritchie movies, and then you watch The Godfather. The pace of the movies, like everything's just getting so ramped up that it's like almost nausea-inducing for me. I'm like, can we slow this down? But
no, I did.
But I'm old. You know, why find love for looking for love in that capacity?
Yeah.
Go into a bar? No, too easy. Swiping? Too easy. Swiping? I don't want to get carpal tunnel with my wrist. I can't do this all. Cameras, document everything, invading my privacy. Sounds like a lovely day at the office. Is that what goes on in your mind, or how does that happen?
When I've ever watched reality TV, or even my own buddies that were on the show with me, like, what brought you here? And yeah, mine was, you know, it's not a crazy story by any means in the beginning, but how things took off really changed like life for me. It was about 2 years ago. You know, I was in a long-term relationship, living in Austin. And we'd broken up, and I decided, okay, I'm just gonna, you know, stay single, work, you know, that whole, you know, work on myself thing.
Which, by the way,
it's huge.
It's a real thing.
It is a real thing, and it gets a bad rap because people, you know, use it comically or for whatever reasons they say. But like, it truly did help me a ton. So like, I focused, you know, not on relationships and working. That was it. And one of my good friends, now one of my best friends, now Daniel, he was on a previous season of the show. And he was there for like 2 weeks. He was sent home, but he comes back and he's like, Zach, you've been single for over a year. You seem happy. Let's get you nominated at like reality show. Like my sisters watch that. My mom loves it, but like, hell no, like don't they do like crazy stuff in jacuzzis or whatever? And he's like, no, dude, it's such a cool like experience. Like you'll meet a ton of great guys. Like worst comes to worst, like you'll leave with some buddies. You know, best case, like who knows, you could actually find your next person. And I'm someone that's like, that's a great enough opportunity to give it a shot, because like what we talked about earlier, I don't want to live my life like what if.
So initially it seems like you're presenting, your friend is on the show. So, you know, he's only there for 2 weeks.
Right.
Gets kicked off, comes to you, he's like selling it.
Oh, hard.
And it seems like your initial response is a little cynicism. It's like, nah, I don't know. And then it seems like something else goes on in the ship that's like, well, what do I have to fucking lose?
I was at a point in my job even to where I was like, okay, I've been at this company for, at the time, 3 years, you know, we're going through COVID. I'm not happy with it right now. And like, this is a good time to where like, if I can find love on a reality show or like have that as a reason to like, hey, let me take a little break from this monotony, I'll give it a shot. But at first I was thinking like, this is not who I am. No one, you know, other than my uncle, like no one's been in the TV space really. And can I cuss?
Fuck yeah.
I was like, fuck it. I I was like, fuck it. Like, I am ready to just like give it a shot. Like,
Yeah.
And the next day,
Yeah.
I got a call from a producer. He literally nominated me that night when he called me. I think I had COVID when he called me because I remember I was in my kitchen. It was like a cold December night. I was by myself, and he's like pitching me on this. And he's like, great, just send me like a recent headshot photo of you. I'm like, I don't have headshots.
So you just like did like a selfie?
Not even. I grabbed my old Facebook photos or something. And I was struggling. And I was struggling because I used to be 300 pounds. So I was like, I want to find a photo that I don't look 300.
Wait. When you mean 300 pounds, like you weren't always this chiseled into shape? Like, what was it?
I was a college offensive lineman. So I was 300 pounds for like 5 years throughout college.
You're going to laugh. I don't even know what that's supposed to look like. I don't even know how you play football. Which is funny because I ended up hanging out with Peyton Manning and I had no idea who he was.
Peyton Manning?
Yeah. I did his wife's ceremony 1 year for the Eskimos. I had no idea who he was or he had a brother.
That's the legend. Yeah.
I now know that. I grew up playing hockey. I love hockey.
Yeah.
Are you a Ducks guy?
I am a Ducks guy.
Good, because this haircut would have gone really bad. I'm kidding. I would never do that. Maybe if you're a Blackhawks fan.
No, I've been to a Blackhawks game though, and that was great.
It is, but Blackhawks and the Ducks seem to be the rival.
Absolutely. But who's been winning recently?
We were the first team to a Stanley Cup in California.
That's right.
Over the Kings. Because the time they had Gretzky had already won all of this stuff.
I don't think I've met a Kings fan ever.
I have a lot of clients that are Kings fans.
Really?
And I'm like, you live in Orange County. Come on. Like the reason I don't have a basketball team is because there's no basketball teams.
Yeah.
And I can't go for, I just can't get on board with the Lakers because I grew up loving Michael Jordan. So for me, it was like Michael Jordan, the Bulls, and Robinson with San Antonio Spurs. So now that I'm in Austin, I'm like, well, Spurs. Yeah. I'm going to get a lot of hate from Los Laker fans.
I'm a Lakers fan.
It's fine. It's okay. You're allowed to like the Lakers.
But what we're saying, something about, the call I got. I'm looking for this photo. I'm not 300 pounds. I sent him over a few things. He's like, what's your phone number? Or, actually, I'll just give you their phone number. And I'm just sitting around. I literally don't think twice about this conversation that we're having. It was something that it was like, I was so excited that he was able to be there and do it. I wanted to hear his experience.
Yeah.
And, fast forward the next evening, still have COVID, and I get a call from a random number. It's from LA, and get this weird feeling. I'm like, this has to do with the Bachelorette. I pick up the phone, and lo and behold, producer, we start chatting and, gauging the interest level, and fast forward again, maybe 3-4 months, I'm on a plane to LA. I mean, after just series of interviews and like screenings and.
Can we talk? Can we go into that? Or if there's something you can't say, just say I plead the fifth.
Plead the fifth.
Just say that. That will be our code word. So if anything gets too intrusive or could violate NDAs, I know in LA everybody has an NDA.
Everyone.
I've had to sign them going to people's houses to cut hair, so I understand. Make 8 pages for this. I'm like, God, but it happens. So if there's anything you can't say, just say.
Yeah. Plead the fifth.
There you go.
Plead the fifth.
This whole time,
yeah,
you're probably really excited. Or are you nervous?
Like every conversation I did have, the excitement did start to grow. I was like, this is a real possibility. And the nerves hit in when I got into LA.
Okay. Now, while that's going on, while this excitement is slowly accelerating up and this nervousness is now starting to creep in.
Yeah.
Are you having thoughts going on like, I hope I find somebody? Or are you just going like, if I find somebody, cool. If I don't, this is another fun experience. When I'm 70, I'll be able to talk about it.
At this point, I had been single for over a year and, I was really looking for my next relationship, but I don't know. There was a fact of, I used to do the apps, try to date with the apps, and everything was kind of shallow. And I always thought like meeting organically would be a really cool thing. Like, oh, I meet them at the coffee shop or the library, as people say. And I'm like, in a sense, this is organic. Like we're not swiping on each other. Like we're meeting each other for the first time.
Yeah.
And there's this chance we can hit it off.
Yeah.
Or it could just burn up in flames. So I truly was thinking, like, I'm in my best spot to be in a relationship. Now, is that person going to be here on this show? So the nerves were building up, though, because not really the relationship aspect. It was the fact of I've never been in front of a camera. I've never seen this like Hollywood life. Like as a kid, I was lucky enough to go to like a few of my uncle's premieres for like his movies and shows. But like that was the extent, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. But me being involved in it, just something I couldn't fathom.
What year were you born?
96.
Oh, you'd have been too young to see it. He was on the sitcom when they were filming out in...
Oh, when he filmed what, Seinfeld or Rules of Engagement? Oh yeah, I was too young for Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I was too young.
That was my favorite show growing up.
Really?
Yeah. I know you're much younger than me, but I'm like, friend, Seinfeld would have been over by the time you would have been able to even be aware.
Long gone. And I really didn't discover Seinfeld till I was a teenager, probably. And
wait till you get into your mid-30s, the show becomes that much more relatable.
I love it now, but I can see what you mean, like later on.
Oh, there's episodes I thought were funny when I was 16, but when I was like 38 watching it, now 41, I'm like dying even more.
Oh, and my uncle's character, Putty, I swear to God, that might be the funniest character on TV. I mean, he's a legend. He's a legend.
He's hysterical.
Yeah, anything he says is just the funniest thing.
His voice is iconic.
It is iconic.
I hear it in Disney cartoons. I'll hear it for like the credit card stuff. Soaring California is, he's
Yeah.
But I think he's one of those actors where people don't remember his name. They go, oh,
the voice.
The voice. Putty.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, that's Kronk, which that was my thing as a kid. I would brag to every kid on the schoolyard, like, did you know my uncle's Kronk? Did you know this Kronk? I would practice his lines from the movies to see if I could master his voice. Like, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
We totally derailed.
Totally.
You said something very interesting about you wanted to meet somebody organic, and I never thought about it like this. Just because you're going on a dating show, it doesn't mean there's going to be necessarily a click there, that you're going to click with anyone.
Right.
Just like the real world.
Right.
I can have a party, I can bring all these people together, and there's no guarantee that the people are going to like each other. It's like a singles mixer. You go to a singles mixer, everyone's single, they go there. The intent is to hopefully find somebody.
Yeah.
It's just they don't have cameras.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't meeting somebody organically. You're just being manipulated in a sense that you're being put together to have to talk to each other. Where like if you're at a singles mixer, you don't have to talk to everybody.
Exactly. It's like handled behind the scenes in a sense, but it's just basically someone else setting up the singles party instead of you on an app that is just swiping away. And at the time, I've changed my thoughts on this, but at the time, I did have a little bit of a negative connotation with the apps, and I don't know where it really stemmed from, but it was the fact of, like, I just felt like a lot of the apps were so impersonal and just straight to the point, not like the relationship point, but like it's like the hookup culture and all that. Like, I wanted to find a relationship. Like, I trusted myself enough, to be myself and put myself out for a relationship and not let a show try to sway or change that. Like, I truly looked at it as like, oh, this is truly a dating opportunity, which I'm fortunate I at least had the confidence to think that.
Yeah. Confidence is a huge thing. I think people need to give themselves more credit all the time about just going out there and giving themselves, like, I think a lot of people have a low self-image of themselves.
I had it for 10 years, the worst.
Really?
Oh my God. It wasn't until about like right before the show, I was at a pretty rough point. So like I mentioned, I played like college football for years. So I had a very negative self-image of myself.
Why?
So like as a kid, I was, athletic. I was, fit. I took care of myself. Never was like a popular or cool kid, but like I was happy.
I always thought that people who play football are like by just by proxy cool or popular because they were on the football team.
Well, I didn't start till, what was it? Freshman year of high school. Like I was a baseball kid my whole life. I tried out for the high school team and I didn't even make the B squad. So like my world came crashing down. I was like, wow, I spent my whole life doing this one sport and I suck. What do I do next to make friends at high school? So I gave football a shot. And when I say I was like athletic, I wasn't that athletic. So they put me straight onto the offensive line. Those big boys up front that protect the quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Football for dummies.
Football for dummies. And so I got in that position. And what you have to be is big. You have to be massive because you have to push weight around and you have to hit other guys. And I just put on so much weight. And I was, excelling in football and enough to, get a scholarship to play in college. But when I looked at myself in the mirror, I found myself so unattractive, and I let that bleed into my entire life of like, if, no one's going to love me if I look like this isn't how it's supposed to be. And I had just years of me trying to put down what was really bothering me. And I just didn't have confidence in myself, how I looked at it and think, women would want to date me because I, in my mind, thought I was so big and unattractive. And it was a real problem. And it spent, I played football for 8 years, spending 8 years like that with that mentality to where even when I lost the weight, I still thought like that.
Where do you think that initially stems from? Like, I think just somewhere, someone or somebody around you had to have helped put that idea into your head. And I say that because I have 2 boys. And the only time I see one of my boys react to something is because they think what they heard is making fun of them.
Yeah.
Or they know it's something about them. So I always think about that, like the things we say. And it may not have actually been towards you. Like maybe somebody says something, you just heard them say like a comment like that.
I've thought about it for so long. I mean, years of therapy too, like that was at the root of it, of trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
And what I realized, I don't know exactly the one thing or the one point that brought me there. And I could easily hit myself over the head constantly to try to figure it out. But what I realized was, instead of focusing on that, how about how can I get better? What can I appreciate about myself? What can I love about myself? What can I find attractive about myself? And then go from there instead of dwelling on how I got to this point. And that was, I'm a big proponent of therapy, and that, talking that through was something really important to me to get me to the point to be on a reality show and fast forward, have my shirt off in front of millions of people in the shop. It took a lot of work, but that was where I was. And it's still a battle, it's still something.
Do you think that your experience of self-image is more common within your age group? Because you were born in 96, right? I was in high school in 96. And my friends and I never had these conversations. So I'm wondering if it's because there's social media. You grew up with social media.
Yeah.
It'd be something we all had to adapt to,
Yeah.
Every generation has something. And I'm just wondering, like when you talk to other people of your age, your contemporaries, is this conversation seem out of place, or does it seem like oh yeah, I've been there too, and I thought this myself?
I think it.
Sorry to get all in super therapy.
No. I mean, I love it. It's actually like my job now. I have is in this space. It's not as common as you'd think, but I think it's because there is still a stigma of talking about the negatives about yourself or what you feel. So not even, I shouldn't say negatives about yourself, but the negative feelings that you may feel for yourself. That is something that I think among guys in general, we don't like to share about that kind of stuff of hey, for example, I look in the mirror 3 years ago and I'm like, how could any woman love me? Or I look so overweight or this and that. I'm not going to be telling my buddies that because it could be seen as a sign of weakness. And I think,
or a sign of self-centered narcissistic.
Completely.
Yeah.
And everyone has varying degrees of thoughts internally, but how often is it shared?
Never.
I feel like as guys, it's never.
Never.
No. So it's like you're fighting a battle by yourself.
From like a young age, there's like this whole thing I read about why guys won't go to the doctors. It was really interesting.
Oh, okay.
And it was like from a young age, when you get hurt, your grandpa, your uncle, your father, the older male role models in your life, you're like, can't be, you get hurt. What is it? Oh, man up.
Yeah.
It's stop crying about it.
Right.
Crying some babies.
Rub some dirt on it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And they're saying that like that mentality of those comments has like really started shaping up. Like, I don't need to, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Years of that.
Right.
And like, you want to share your emotions to the guy. It's like, I remember somebody was saying like, you know, my son, he cries about everything. It's like, I had my son, I didn't want a daughter. And they view that thing as like, and I was like, I heard that. I was like, oh, so glad I'm not your son, you know?
God, because that's going to eventually get back.
Oh, and that
Everything.
that was said like 18 years ago. So I can only imagine the wonderful relationship that person has with their child now. Things that you grow up with social media and all that.
It doesn't help.
It does.
Tell you that. And I even see it now. Like, it's so easy to just get consumed by whatever's on your feed. So like the fitness feed, you know, every dude's got an 8-pack and they're just absolutely ripped. And like, I can see that now and be like, oh wow, like myself 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That would just be adding to the pain of like, okay, I need to get there. I need to get there. And then I am at the point where I'm like, hey, I'm happy where I am. I'm happy that my fiance loves me, what I look like now, and will always still love me. So it's like that kind of like maturity that came with it.
I look in the mirror and I go, you know what? I could lay off the IPAs. I don't have to keep drinking McConaughey's as much as I like it.
Oh, McConaughey's is a great one.
Maybe I shouldn't indulge in, you know, late night snacking with those HEB Hole chips. Have you had those? But
I have. Great.
Yeah. All I have to do is just stop drinking beer and stop snacking. And I could go back to I was in my 30s, maybe. But I also look at it like this. I go, like, you know what? I'm having fun. I'm enjoying life.
Yeah.
There's so many other things I worry about than that.
Yeah, eat the bag of chips. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I'm saying, eat the bag of chips. Fuck it. Run a couple extra miles.
Fuck it.
I don't know if this is the way with The Bachelor or Bachelorette, and I'm not trying to infer. I just know in other shows is that somebody has a goal of what they want someone to look like. In certain reality shows. I was on a dating show.
What show was it?
Extreme Dating with Julianne Margulies, where the person goes on a date and they have their exes in another room with a microphone going into the earpiece of the new person that their ex is on the date with. Yeah, it was my old drummer. She was the girl going on the date. And she had me and this guy, I forget his name, but he was a bass player in another band that we knew because we were in the same recording studio. Because we knew more about her than any of the guys that she'd ever dated.
Right.
And I just remember the producer saying, hey, you can't keep ripping on the guy she's on the date with. You're supposed to be ripping on your friend because you can't. And I was like, well, you picked a bozo for this date. Like, they're like, well, that's not worth the edit. And I just remember them trying to edit. I remember the full thing and then how it came out. I was like, me being 21 on this dating show, and I cannot find it on YouTube, and I want to find it on YouTube.
I want to find it too.
I have black hair, like a blonde mohawk inside the black. Oh yeah. I really, really want to find it because it's ridiculous. It's so bad. You know, there's a lot of different ways whoever's doing the editing could show this potential vulnerability of what's going on. But like, so how do you get out of that vulnerability of this second guessing and like go full speed into like, I got this, I'm the shit. Like, did you do like daily affirmations?
Leave the fed.
Okay.
No.
That's great. Watch, there's gonna be like a class, like I plead the fifth like 95 times. Like, no.
Actually, though, I could talk about it a little bit.
How long does the taping?
Well, I did
The beginning to end.
couple months. It's like about 3 months or so.
Can you talk to a friend?
No. No, you're off the grid for 3 months.
That in itself messes with you.
Oh yeah. No one is unscathed by that. like everyone, I mean, think about it, like your loved ones, your family, your friends, and you can't say a word to them, and you're making a potential very big decision by the end of the 3 months.
So you can't ask like your consigliere of life, like, hey, dad, this is
not until the very end. Yeah. I don't know. My mentality with it was I was actually really grateful that I didn't watch the show. Like I had a general idea of what the show was about. It's, a number of contestants trying to see if they can fall in love with the lead. And at that time, I was one of the many contestants and see if I can fall in love with one of the leads, because it was the first season, there were 2 women. So like I didn't know the intricacies or like how, reality TV can be portrayed. So like I went in to the best of my ability, just being Zach Shallcross, the tech dude that lives in Austin that's ready to date. Like I tried as hard as I could.
Yeah.
But with that in mind, when I would see the cameras and the boom mics and being mic'd up every morning, I was shy. Like I'm not like an extroverted person. Like I'm more to myself typically. So like I had my tail between my legs for the first month. Like I saw cameras and, a producer asked me a question in front of the group. Like my stomach would sink to talk in front of like people and cameras. Like I was just and what I like attribute it to, I'm looking back on all that stuff. And it was like a little bit of, that fear that I had of those insecurities bleeding into, oh my God, what am I doing here? Like you're not supposed to be on a dating show. Like, these guys are great looking dudes, and
imposter syndrome.
It's completely, I'm like, why did I say yes to this? Like, who the hell let me on this damn show? Like, they made a mistake.
Like one day they're going to wake up and be like, we hired a fraud.
Yeah. They're like, you're going to watch like just that episode and see me. And the next, I'm just going to mysteriously disappear because they're like, we fucked up. We fucked up. We brought in a new guy.
We should have never done that.
Yeah. Who let him in? They're fired.
Yeah. Last time we hired, get anybody from Austin.
Yeah. It took time to, as weird as it sounds, like get situated and normalize having, a ton of cameras on you 24/7.
And you don't have any history of acting, performance art, music, like you do like stage performance.
Okay, so there's like been a few instances. Like in high school, like we had to take like an arts class. Okay. So I took a theater class with my other football buddies, and we were a small all guys school.
Okay.
And we did like one little play that was only showed to like 30 people.
Okay.
And, we enjoyed it. But I was actually in a band growing up as a kid.
Kind of music?
We were raw. Okay. And we played for like 2 years. It was like right before high school. We would jam in my buddy's garage. I played guitar and bass, and I was never really good. My buddy Evan at the time, he was always like the lead guitarist. I was like rhythm. And so we played like two mini kids shows basically. So like it was a school talent show.
Okay.
In front of like 200 people in our auditorium. And that was peak, like, this is the coolest moment of my life. We played Flat on the Floor from Local H.
Oh yeah.
Super easy. So we were like,
good song.
But all of us are too scared to sing. So we literally were just an instrumental band. Yeah, but that was the extent. So like in 8th grade doing that and being in like some little dopey like spoof play about Hamlet, that was it. But I never pursued any of the arts, just kind of watched my uncle from afar.
The reason I was asking is that if you don't have any previous experience of performance, this whole thing would seem extremely foreign and overly intimidating.
Yeah.
But you still had some experience, but it doesn't seem like you were devoting your life to like become a rock star or to go and become a theater actor.
Oh, I didn't see it as a performance. Like I think a lot of people, and I believe it because you see reality, TV, whether it's from show I was on or not, like people do go into it like this is a performance. Like I'm going to showcase myself.
Yeah, I imagine
90% of people probably do.
It's not the show or the producers, it's just the people on it. Like, that's their own, they have what's the word? The individuals have an agenda.
Totally. And it's like very few and far between when you'll find, I think, someone that doesn't have that sole objective. Because you can't be naive. Like, yeah, you know, it's a TV show, it's viewed by a lot of people, and social media exists. Yeah, like everyone knows that. But then if, like, where I see it as is like recognizing that, but not letting that be the reason you're there. Because first off, like, we're on a dating show. Yeah, there's like real feelings involved.
Did you start feeling connections right away, or did it feel pretty consistent when they're like to your previous dating experiences that were not on a show? Like, you know, I don't remember ever like going on a first date and going, I'm going to get married to this person. Like that never happened to me. Yeah. But after a few months, oh, I could see myself moving in with this person. I could see myself maybe having a future. Was your emotions on the same emotional train that you have previously had?
Same train, different speed.
Okay, I got that.
Because like we are on a timeline. When you make something like this, it's very quick. I mean, you know, there's the possibility of getting engaged at the end of 3 months of knowing someone. Like, that's a crazy concept, and everyone should be skeptical when they go into that situation, because if you're not, you're kind of crazy. Like, if you think like, I am going to fall in love and be okay with this in 3 months, it seems, I don't know, disingenuous.
I think that's one of the things that, you know, clients and I talk about is like, really? Like, how do you know after 3 months?
Exactly. And with that on top of it, you recognize, hey, there's an ending to this. Like a decision needs to be made. So the time you do spend with that person or a group of people is so much more important. So you don't, I don't want to say waste time, but you get straight to it. You know, like, you have those conversations you need to have for yourself. Like, can I get engaged to this person? You discuss values a lot quicker. You cut the bullshit of like, hey, you have like the 6 dates before you figure out like what like they stand for, you know? Like,
do you think more people would find a better person, or the person that they would get better with if they're single right now, if they adapted that sort of technique to their own life?
I do, because, you know, funny enough,
I'm tied to right now. I'm like hearing this, like, I'm thinking like, that seems like a good advice.
Well, it leads itself to the fact of like, you don't want to waste each other's times. Like, people will have like relationships for years and years and years, but never really have the chance to get to fully understand and know each other. And if you are forced to ask the tough questions, it's like in sales, like, you're getting to the know as quick as you can, but you need to, because that's going to help everyone else in the long term. I've actually never heard that thought vocalized of if people started doing it the way.
Like, is there a good opportunity for, as much as people rip on some of these, you know, the unlikeliness? I mean, I think the unlikeliness is going on these like dream vacation dates. I think that's like the unrealistic. We're going to Machu Picchu this weekend, and the next weekend we're going to go to some island wherever. But if everyday people were to have that same sort of approach with dating, they'd probably find happiness a lot faster.
Completely. I mean, they could save years
and money.
Of dates, of like crazy heartbreak, because, you know, that heartbreak comes with time. And if you were able to, I kind of immediately think it sounds like it's a speed dating thing, but it's not. You know, it's not. It shouldn't be like that. But I think what's important is being very intentional when you are dating. Yeah, and really seeing if your partner is willing to, or the person you're dating is willing to be intentional and to figure out like, hey, like, do we see eye to eye on this? Like,
I always call it your non-negotiables. So the non-negotiables that you were looking for at this point in time. Yeah. I'm going to remove your fiance out of the equation, because she's not in the picture yet. Yeah. So we can talk about these and be compartmentalized, so that way you don't get in trouble when you go home. What I was thinking is your non-negotiables at this time. Like, was it like they had to, like, what was the things that were your list, your checklist of things that you knew you wanted in a person?
No, that's a great question. And I think, you know, at times like it changes, but there was like one or two things that I really needed in a person. And I think I had a good sense of sensing it in a person. And it was a kindness, like slash motherly feel, like someone that is truly kind to everyone they encounter, but also wants to be, you know, a mother one day. Cause I'm someone very family oriented. I'd love to have, you know, little ones running around and
if you want to know what that's like, you can babysit for me anytime.
Yeah.
The 4 and 6, if you want to know what it's like to have 2 boys 20 months apart, I'll give you the full tour. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, see, no, it's like,
I'm like, what did I just give myself?
exactly.
It was those two things at the end of the day. It's like someone's heart, like how kind are they to everyone they encounter? Like not only me, like don't, you know, bullshit me and be kind to me, but you're mean to a service worker, or you're mean to your best friends or your family, or whatever, maybe not mean, but you know what I mean.
Like how are they with the person who's, you know, helping them bag the groceries?
Which you can get a sense of their true character from that. And you can only go so far to hide that.
I agree.
So, and you know, believe it or not, there's quite a few people like in that reality space that aren't the
Reality, not reality space. There's people who are just rude,
which boggles my mind. But that was one thing where, I mean, I would observe as much as I can how they, like how anyone treated the people around them.
Yeah.
Whether that's producers, cameramen.
like the lowest totem on the.
Yeah. I mean, everyone, like that was so important to me. And just someone who's a happy person. I'm a very positive, happy guy. It took a while to get to that point, but like someone that views life in a pretty optimistic way, like those are the key things for me.
Okay.
Yeah. And I found it.
That's awesome. I think I probably would have enjoyed if I was ever on a show like that would be some of the dating vacation spots. Because they're on like your hit list of places you want to go to.
Unreal.
Like, I don't even know, but like, did you go to the Maldives? I don't, because I didn't watch the show. So, I mean, what was that spot or, you know, and would you go there again?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was fortunate because, you know, I was on the first season for the Bachelorette or I guess my first season was on the Bachelorette. So we were on a cruise ship for about a month and a half traveling. And we stopped in France, Belgium, Amsterdam. Yeah, we did Europe. And then at the finale of that was Mexico. And then for when I was the lead, we went to the Bahamas, we did London, we did Estonia, which I had never even heard of until I was there. And
Yeah.
I couldn't find it on the map.
Where is it on a map now?
Really close to Russia,
Yeah.
I was told. And
I believe it's part of the Baltics.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful country, beautiful. And then at the end, we did Thailand,
Oh, wow.
and then we did Budapest at one point. So like places I could have never imagined. Like I was a tech dude out of Austin that literally had been to Cabo when I was in college because I saved up money to go with my buddies. That was the most I've ever been out of the country. So we did get to go do some incredible things, like have an entire museum to ourselves, skydiving on a day, having entire bathhouses to ourselves, like in Europe.
I'm going to do a quick check-in. Where so what I did is I took down that peak right here.
Okay.
So with your hair, because you have mercalic, here's a couple of things. Your head right here is higher than it is here, and that's normal. That's a good thing. That's how heads kind of curve, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to cut everything the same length,
Right.
then this is always going to peak higher and peak over the front.
And my hair looks like that. I've always had that.
Yeah, so you have to take this part shorter.
The middle or the back?
It's right here on the top.
Okay, that.
Right, yeah, it's like right here at the apex of your head. You have to take that shorter, so that way when you brush this all back, only the front stands up and
Not another bump.
not the cowlick. Yeah.
Got it.
So I'm just looking at your hair with this and how we on the sides. I just wanted to kind of get it square. You came in and it was looking a little bit more rounded.
Yeah, I like it square. Like I like it look clean.
You look at great structural, squareness in your jaw. So when you add that roundness, it softens your features. When if it's more straight on and more flat and square, it's going to make your jaw and your chin look more defined like that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I'm not trying to take it to the skin. I'm just looking at the shape. Like, like this is like right here. So I'm going to blend this up a little bit more. And I want to know, is this part right here, is this still a
little too long?
I haven't touched it yet. So this is,
okay.
So I want to make sure that, because sometimes you get to a point, you go, actually the top looks cool like this. Let's leave it. But your hair grows like wildfire.
Super.
So let's change that up.
I don't even know in regards to the amount of inches, or even if we're even hitting an inch at the top.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna keep working on getting this stuff done, because I want to make sure this is the focal point, right?
Right.
So this is what you see every day. And so I want this to be the last thing I do. So that way it works perfectly with the rest of your hair.
Got it.
And you were filming this during the wonderful time of the pandemic, right? Or like just post-pandemic. It's like we're 21. Is this the year that you're filming?
We filmed in early 22 and so all of 2022 we were basically filming. So for Bachelorette and The Bachelor, we filmed that all in that year, that last year was the most insane year of my life.
I can imagine.
To be honest, it doesn't feel at times like it even happened at all.
Really?
It's a weird thing where I talked to my fiance about this the other day, where it seems like it was maybe like a different lifetime ago, like almost no way did I like survive that entire thing, but also with my head on straight, with a bitchin' fiance. Like everything worked out so well, and I'm so happy with things with her. And, my family their lives are not, destroyed from me being on reality TV. Like, which can absolutely happen. And there were a few cases where it was a little scary for them, but, we worked through it. But, it just feels like it was another life. And now like things are back to normal the way we want it to be. It just seems like, like we wouldn't have done that, right?
But you did.
But we did. Yeah. That's how we're in each other's lives. So
it's going to make for a really great story when you have kids and they go, how did you two meet? You're like, get your popcorn ready. Oh, so the answer is no.
No, we've talked about it. We think it's probably best we'll probably edit a version because it is like, when they're 18, they're going to see it.
Yeah.
They're going to know before the fact too. But like, if we can have as much of an open conversation about it.
Okay.
Because it is, a show, and I made mistakes throughout,
which I don't know of, so I can't ask you about those things.
You can't, but I did make mistakes to get to the point at the end, and
I think that's just part of dating.
Yeah,
it's interesting that you gonna do an edited version, possibly.
I think so. I mean, I know. Well, as little kids, I think that's important. But as like when they're adults, like ask me and anything and everything of like why at the time I did or said this, or ask your mom why she did or said this. Like all of that is important. Like communication is huge. It's huge in our relationship. We want that same thing for our kids.
It seems like post all this, you really just want to go back to being more under the radar. Am I wrong on that assumption?
No, you're not wrong about that at all. I made a LinkedIn post. So, okay, I'll rewind a little bit. So the show finales, it was in like April, I think.
Okay.
Sure, April.
This past April?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was when the world finally saw that Kate and I were together. Okay. Like we're engaged, but we, had to live secretly together. Not live together, but we had to date secretly for months because, filming ended last year and, we couldn't spoil the show.
Was that kind of fun? Like you're like a spy, like trying to dodge things and
so fun. I mean, it was like, it was so frustrating because it's like, you're fresh off this like amazing high of like, we're together, we're engaged, like, let's do life. No, you can't. Like we have to have like sectioned get-togethers in a private area. But we made the most of it. We had so much fun.
Did you make everybody sign NDAs that they're coming to your house for a party?
No, it was like no one could be there. It had to be just her and I.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like it was, we call them happy couples, but basically we'd have to fly to like a discrete location at an Airbnb, and it would just be us together.
So you're getting to see even more random parts of the world you're not. You're like, look, I don't think anyone's going to follow us in Sturgis.
Well, no, we did keep it, we kept it in, and like she would fly to LA or I'd fly to Texas.
Okay.
But we would be like in a discrete area within the place.
Not like saying like, the Four Seasons or like,
no, it would be like an Airbnb, but like pretty hidden.
Okay.
So, there was no chance of like paparazzi or any fans.
Were paparazzi following you?
We had paparazzi in New York.
Okay.
Quite a bit. That was really fresh off the show.
Yeah.
Obviously, no one cares about me anymore. But it was a little bit of a thing where like we couldn't risk being caught. Like we agreed that we would do our best to not spoil this. So we spent months, every couple of weeks, fly to a location, spend only one-on-one time with each other for anywhere between 3 to 5 days, and then fly back to our normal lives and not tell our friends who we were with, except I told my best friends. But yeah, you got to.
Or are we going to have to edit that out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, but no, I've talked to the producer because they expect that. They're like, we get it. Yeah. Like, and also all my friends have had to sign NDAs and all that. So if it ever gets out, it's like, it's one of them. It's one of them, not me.
They knew. Yeah.
They knew.
The part so far that sounds the most fun is being a spy and kind of like.
We did the fake mustaches and all. We went on little walks here and there.
Did you ever take photos of you in your getup, like trying to hide? Like, hey, it's me dressed not as me.
I'll trying to find one. I think I have a few. Like some of our not best disguises, but enough to where we almost looked more sketchy when we were out and about. I'm like, this is gonna get us caught. I can tell. I mean, it's like the black hoodie, the big sunglasses.
That's like a dead giveaway. Anytime you're in LA and you see somebody with a hoodie over their head, hunched over with big glasses and $700 shoes on, you're like,
we were so new to it. We had no idea. Then we learned after, like, that looks bad. Like we almost spoiled ourselves. We didn't. We didn't get caught ever, which is great.
That is cool.
I guess maybe not a lot of people know, but when you have these like happy couples and you just get engaged, like when you have to keep your relationship secret, that brings a lot of issues to a relationship of like not for us, but it can present a lot of challenges of like, okay, you just spent all this time with this person, you love this person, and now we have to do long distance for months, like right as you like make that decision. And like for a lot of people, like long distance is very difficult.
I've done it. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
No.
And it really can test the relationship. It tested us for the best because, we did get to spend a lot of time of like getting to know each other and getting straight to the point, even post the show. Like we would go to these locations and it would just be her and I and an Airbnb and like having the best time, but also spending time getting to know each other now and like getting to know each other more of that fun stuff that you'll get to cover in the show,
Okay.
Personality stuff. But yeah, it was great. I don't know how we got to that part.
The way this podcast functions is, let's just have a conversation.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when people get their haircut, they start talking. And you may have a question and it gets answered and it goes down to another path that's not even on your radar or my radar. And that's the fun part, I think, about being a hairdresser is you get to really learn so much about so many people and so many things.
Yeah. There's something about this chair. Just gets you talking.
I really think there's something about this chair. I'm not even kidding.
I agree, because I'll be completely honest. When I get haircuts, I feel like it's like a 75-25 of like, I don't want to talk. I just want a haircut and go. I don't know why, but
I also think the chair is, it's a sacred place for a lot of things. It's a place where you can be quiet and just be alone. It's a spot for you to vent about, all the people who are pissing you off, and we're just a sounding board for you. Sometimes it's a lot of advice they want to give you or ask you for something. And then other times, just, you're just talking normal stuff like, hey, how was Hawaii? Did you see the Laker game? Can you believe that such and such did this? And, those are all great things to have.
Okay, we're talking about the regular life, like life after the show, the normal life.
Yeah.
And Kate and I were back to what we do or did before. Like, she's a travel nurse from Canada, born and raised in Canada, has only been in the States for about a year. And right after the show, she started up another contract and went right at it. And I took a little bit of a longer turn. I guess like post-show, was focusing really on just getting back together in Austin, living together. I'd been in LA for so long. And when I got here, I wanted to make, sure we got apartment for us and get situated and kind of like adjust to normal life. And then I made the effort of, all right, I'm getting back into the job space.
What is it that you're doing right now? Because you said something earlier that made me think it has to deal with some sort of therapy or mental health because of the previous conversation about self-image.
Well, so like I put on my LinkedIn that I was ready to get back in the job space. And I previously worked at a tech company and it sold like cloud products. When I announced that I was going to get into the job space again, or that I would start interviewing, I got a call from TMZ that night. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, we haven't seen like a lead from a show want to go back to their quote unquote 9 to 5. And I was like, yeah, like Kate and we're not here for the fame. Like it's very short lived. And we see how like TV can like really damage relationships and like social media. Like we don't care about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we care to an extent, but not enough to make it our lives. So like, yeah, I'm getting back to what, I know best. And that's, sales at this point. I interviewed with a bunch of different companies, very fortunate, but none of them really stuck until this company called Real reached out to me, the CEO, and their mental health platform that's completely on demand. And I fell in love with it immediately. Like from our first conversation, she hooked me. And it was funny because I had met with her and I was like, holy shit, after like 50 different calls, this is the one I want. Like, I want to continue this. Like, I'm such a big, proponent of mental health and like taking care of oneself. And I recognize the stigmas that are associated with it and how people struggle on the day to day. I want to sell something that truly helps people. I got ghosted and I was like, oh my God, the one job I wanted, she didn't like me. And I was freaking out. I was like telling my fiance, telling my family, I'm like, guys, the one I wanted is gone. And about a week and a half later, she shoots me an email like, hey, sorry, I was on PTO for about 2 weeks. Hope you've been doing well. Let's get you in contact with X.
Meanwhile, you've been stressing out,
panicking.
Panicking.
I mean, it was not of her fault by any means. She just happened to be gone. And I really wanted it. I started actually about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. So that's cool. So it's a mental health. So like, is on demand, like an online, like there's like a portal?
Yeah. So it's like an application that you can access on your phone. And what we're doing is we contact or reach out to businesses or leaders in, the HR space.
Yeah.
And it's like a benefit to their employees. And what it is, most companies have they call it an EAP, and it's like, hey, you have access to meet a therapist once a month if you'd like.
Yeah.
Pretty expensive to meet with a therapist. And a lot of people, I feel like, still have that stigma of, I don't want to go talk to a therapist. That shows weakness. Or like, I'm okay, I'll get through it. And then often they're at a point in crisis and it's too late sometimes. And then sometimes a therapist is not going to help your crisis problem. And then there's the other side of the coin of there are, I don't know if you've heard about Calm or Headspace, there's applications that are meditation.
Oh, I've heard of Calm.
Yeah. So those are great.
That's just like Rain or something, like the ads on, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is relaxing.
Why I fell in love with what Real's doing is we are in a completely different point of we meet you where you're at. We're not someone or something that deals with just oh, you need to meditate, or like, hey, we're going to connect you to a one-on-one therapist. No, there's other things for that. We have all this content that is actually developed by therapists to meet you where you're at. So if you're in a point, like in a relationship fight, or you're burning out from work, where you're having issues with your kids and you don't know what to do and you're starting to panic and you're burning out, like, we have that content for you to listen to watch, to hope to de-escalate you from whatever situation you're feeling. Because like, people want answers when they're struggling, and sometimes they don't know what they're even feeling or dealing with. And so like, we've designed something that, to the best of our ability, can find where you're at and can tailor things for you based off of what you need, what you're feeling.
Is this something anyone can have?
Yes, yeah. So it's something that anyone can get now.
So it's not like you have to be part of like a large corporation to have access to.
No, it's on the App Store now. It's on Google Play. But what we're doing and what I cover is speaking with leaders and sharing with them how it can be like an actual strong benefit and tool to help with their employees to keep them happier. I love it. And fortunate to be a part of it. We call it the Spotify of mental health. That's our shtick.
What is something that nobody knows that you would like people to know about you from the show? It was really cool to me when we were talking about the music and the guitars, and you told me who your favorite band was. Because I feel like I know it sounds so stupid, because I love music and I love movies. I always keep thinking, I wonder what their favorite band is. Like, you could sit anybody in here, like the first thing I want to like ask, and I don't, but I usually get to at some point, to the camera or whatever. It's like, what's your favorite band? What's your favorite movie?
Right.
But you like Korn.
Love Korn. My dad gave me their album. It was my first album as a kid.
This past week, I've been listening to the first record over and over again.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. And the song Baltan.
Okay.
It's like, there's like this is one part where it hits, and I'm like, dude, it's still so heavy. They're so heavy.
And he gave me their, it was their Another Brick in the Wall, Volume 1 and 2, when they had, it was like basically their best hits. It was like 24 tracks from like everything from like Freak on the Leash to, was it Peachy?
Life is Peachy.
Life is Peachy.
That's where they have the song Adidas.
Yes.
That song is so good.
So good. I mean, I love the song like Trash. And then when I got older, like, Liar, Twisted Transistor, Shit I May Go On Blind is a classic. But so I love, like, one thing I don't think a lot of people know is like, I was a metal kid, like, growing up. I only listened to strictly like Korn and Slipknot. Like, I love like rap and hip hop now. But
Zach, what you're saying here is, if nobody, because I don't know a lot of people who like a lot of that metal, so I could call you up and be like this past Wednesday, I saw Power Man 5000 and Julian K.
Always down.
I could have been like, Zach, you want to go see Power Man?
Always. So I'm going to see Avenged, I know someone at Coda, and she's like, any concert, any metal concert, she'll get me in. And I'm like, I would love that. And I'll go by myself. I actually had this pretty cool story where like I looked back and thought like, wow, I'm fortunate to be on this show, because I got to do something like this. And I was in Nashville with my fiance for the CMA Fest. And, I came back to Austin a week later. I posted a photo of my fiance and I when we were there. We were at like the Spotify house, and I get a DM, and I'm like, this person looks kind of familiar. Let me click on it. And it's the guitarist of Paramore.
Oh, rat.
And I love Paramore. I mean, it's like, Hayley Williams is like a great singer, great performer.
Yeah.
And I loved everything Misery Business, everything Crush. Loved that. Loved Paramore. And he DMs me and he's like, hey, something along the lines of like, hey, me and my girlfriend, we love you at Katie. We saw you're in Nashville. Like, let's all meet up. And I was like, dude, no way. We actually left last week. I just posted this photo, but this is a bummer. Like, if you're ever in Austin, please hit me up, dude. I love Paramore, like, big fan of you guys.
That's great.
And he gets back to me a week later. He's like, dude, we're performing there in like less than a month. Let me hook it up. And fast forward, he texts me. He's like, hey, we're going to be at Moody. can you guys come? And unfortunately, Kate had a ship that night, so she couldn't make it. So I took my best friend, but we got to go backstage, watch Paramore. I got to meet one of the drummers of Paramore, and we're just sitting in the back, and shout out Brian and Joey, Brian and Joey from Paramore. They're the absolute best. I mean, I was like, this is such a cool opportunity that I never thought in a million years I'd get to do. And we got to see Paramore. He has a apparel brand, LXIX, and it's like the most wacky shirts I've ever seen in my entire life. And I love it. And I'm going to support him.
Do you have like a favorite movie? I think movies sometimes can tell more about a person than the music they listen to.
Yeah, so my favorite movie, most times people don't know it, but it's a movie called We Were Soldiers.
Why do I feel like I
Vietnam War.
I didn't see it? So We Were Soldiers. Okay, when did it come out?
Came out in, I believe, 98, 99.
I was going to say, because I remember it seeming like a movie when I was younger.
Yes.
That would be about the time.
And you know what's funny? Like the way I watched it was in high school. Like I went to an all-guys high school, and I took a chemistry class. And our teacher was, he was the track coach. He was kind of checked out, really good dude. And he's like, I don't know what to teach today, so I'm going to put on We Were Soldiers. And we're like, is that a war movie? And he's like, yeah, but there's a scene with napalm on it. And you guys got to understand what napalm is and the chemicals behind it. So we watched We Were Soldiers multiple times that year.
Just for the napalm scene?
We watched the entire movie just for the napalm scene. But it was like such a well-done movie that like I would get like emotional watching it. Like at the beginning, it's like beautifully made. The story's awesome. The action is unreal. There's a great, ending to it.
Okay.
And it's one of those movies that I could watch over and over and over. And it's hard to find it now, but it's something like,
was it on Amazon Prime maybe?
At one point it was, but I don't know if it is there anymore.
Okay.
I mean, it's enough to where like I'd probably buy the Blu-ray and like just so I could have it.
And have you seen any good movies lately?
So I'm a big horror movie fan.
Really?
Love horror movies. Every time there's one in theaters, fortunately, my fiance also likes them, doesn't love them, but she'll go with me, which is important.
Yeah.
And
I got to ask, like when you're saying horror, we're talking more like the demon possessed stuff, the spooky, or we're talking more like the torturous stuff, like
the torture, or
we're talking more like zombie stuff, because that's all like a big umbrella. Yeah,
all of it. So like I love slashers as a kid. I also loved in like high school. They called it like the torture porn, the Saws, the Hostels. Like
I thought Saw was actually the first one was really smart the way it was done.
Genius.
Yeah.
Then they lost their ways with the second and third, but then they got better here and there. I just thought it was such a cool concept that if a movie can make you squirm or feel a type of way, they did their job. That's how I viewed it.
So he said it, Pete. You seen that?
I have all three of them.
Like how? I only saw the trailer, and I said, I can't.
Okay, I have this thing, maybe you can relate to it, where like in high school and college,
relate to it?
No. Not the even said it. No, it's like scary.
I believe the fit. Okay,
Fair. But like watching something like that, the torture porn or the really scary, gruesome movies, like when you were younger, like maybe you could stomach it because of whatever reason, like, well, I can get through this. But like as I've gotten older with age, I don't do as well watching like the squirmy, gross, like Hostels now. Like I don't have that desire anymore. But whereas a teenager, I thought it was badass. I thought it was cool.
It's shocking.
It's shocking. And now as like an adult, I'm like, why would I put myself through just like a human centipede thing? Does that make sense?
It does. Because when I was younger, I got, for a brief moment, I got more into the older horror movie stuff, like Silver Bullet, Rawhead Rex, and Look Like Marker.
Oh, yeah, old school.
Yeah, and there was something about that I liked. And at that time, they're trying to be over the top. And then you have, Hostel, and then they take it to another level. And at some point, I just thought that like it's just so over the top And it just became not boring. I don't want to say like I became desensitized to it. I probably became more sensitive to it.
That's
Where I was like, you know what? Like, no, this is not for me. On the flip side, the stuff that I find more frightening is more home invasion stuff.
oh yeah,
So one of my favorite scary movies is Funny Games.
that's a good movie.
It's a great movie. And it's like, to me, it's like a super underrated movie. It's that and the Rob Zombie movie, The Devil's Rejects,
Great movie.
not House of a Thousand Corpses. Devil's Rejects is crazy because it has this Charles Manson element to it that I find more frightening than a demon or a hellspawn or whatever. If you believe in supernatural, it's obviously going to affect you. If you don't, it doesn't affect you. But the one thing I think we can agree on, supernatural or not supernatural, if your belief system is that there are people like Charles Manson that do things like that, and I find that more frightening.
Absolutely, real life horror.
By the way, how's the sides?
Love the sides.
Cool. Top good?
Top's great.
And you said you use gel or a paste, pomade. Do you like it to be more matte or more shine?
More matte. More matte. But I did just see a movie, by the way, before I forget, that I recommend if you are into the war movies. It's called Talk to Me. Have you heard about it?
Yeah.
It's got a lot of buzz.
I have seen the previews for that.
Give it a shot.
You really?
I wasn't wowed by the previews. I was like, it just seems like it's like a little bit of like a possession type movie. It's very creative.
The one I wanted to see was the latest David Cronenberg film, where like these people, the art direction of it was just so strange. Viggo Mortensen is in it. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of this movie, but it's still.
Yeah, look it up to that.
It's amazing. The previews look crazy. He did The Fly.
Okay, I know The Fly, yeah.
Yeah, he did that. And
Oh, was it Barbarian?
no,
That was a good one.
Crimes of the Future. That's what it was.
Oh, more. I've heard it's very graphic.
Yeah, but see, it's graphic in a way where it's not slasher graphic. It's graphic because there's like,
Surgical, right?
it seems like they're trying to manipulate the bodies or
Right.
there's mutations of growths. And I don't know if it's purposeful or not, but I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff from it would just like, there's like a person whose whole back was covered in ears or something like that. It's so strange.
Yeah, the body horror stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, I may want to watch that one. I'm more of like a rom-com guy now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like rom-coms before 2010. So if it has Matthew McConaughey and Jennifer Lopez, I'm probably going to be a big fan of it. I don't know why my wife doesn't like the scary stuff, but Stranger Things is too scary for her. So that really cuts out everything.
Hey, right.
And I'm okay with that. But every now and then, it's fun to watch when I travel somewhere on a plane, like for me. So I watched Babylon recently.
Oh, how was that?
I loved it. I mean, great actors, cool direction, 3 hours. But I say it's 1 hour for each one of the main characters. Yeah, you have great hair for yours. I mean, it works. You're not fighting your hair. The only thing you just had to do is just cut your cowlick hair just a little bit shorter.
Okay.
And then hopefully you like it. Hopefully you're not just saying this because there's a camera pointing at you.
Actually not. Actually not. It's the length I need. It's clean on this. I'm curious, what was the length you did on the sides of that?
I did scissors, so there's no predetermined guard.
Oh,
You only, I think, said plead the fifth once. We didn't get too.
twice.
We didn't. Yeah, I didn't see. I told you I wasn't going to get too crazy. I really just want to know what it's like to mindset because clients that I've always been like, what goes on? Like where somebody goes, you know what? Fuck bars and swiping. I need cameras. Don't be surprised if they call you up and see if you want to see metal shows.
I'd love that.
Because Korn and Stain are coming together, I think. Oh no, it's Stain and Godsmack. They're coming to.
Is that in October?
I have to. I just saw it advertisement.
No, I'm for sure going to make Avenged work. We got a busy couple months, but let's do it, man.
Let's figure it out.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Zach. This was fun.
This was awesome. Thanks.
And I'm glad you like your hair. And
love it.
We got to stay cool in this heat right now.
Absolutely.
All right.
The lady's going to love it.